the cold world try to put me on my knees, and I feel all of the pressure to provide everything. So I keep my head down, work hard and believe that tomorrow will be better. Give it time and you'll see. But there's always a new fight, always a rough night, cause it takes a few tries to get something new right. When it's been a tough life, you need a new view sight to see what to do, like to make a new move, right? And I can feel the weight of the world better brace fast. Got a little blood in my mouth, I can taste that. And I've been beaten, bruised from the fight, ain't no fake out. Calluses, they grow from the pain in the days past. But I will never give up, and I will never give in. Strength is all I got now, and damn it man, I'm all in. So I'ma have to stay tall, never show I'm bleeding. When everything is too much, you will see me leading. Life is full of challenge, that's the only way to live. Dopamine is something that to get you have to give. In the moment it may suck, but that's the only way to win. Keep your head and chin up, take the blows and don't give in. And life will hit you so hard, we've been through it so far. Wake up with a new scar, some just want a new start. But we all get a different hand, out to us a different plan. Take your gifts and make a stand, you don't get a second chance. And I can feel the weight of the world better brace fast. Got a little blood in my mouth, I can taste that. And I've been beaten, bruised from the fight, ain't no fake out. Calluses, they grow from the pain in the days past. But I will never give up, and I will never give in. Strength is all I got now, and damn it man, I'm all in. So I'ma have to stay tall, never show I'm bleeding. When everything is too much, you will see me leading.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Wow. Looks like we're here.
Yes.
How are you?
I am doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm going to say hi to some people. Let me see. We got Lisa Jones. Hello. We have Who Said That? What? Frankie, my buddy. I love you. Joy and Brandy Neal. Hello. How are you? And Mad Miss Hatter and Christina. Hello, love. And you, Arctic. So there we are. So how is everything going with you?
Busy as always.
Yeah, I got a leg on my side because I'm still showing video, but that's okay. I had to try out my other videos, see what was going on with them. See if I could give me a little more time to smoke a cigarette, but it really didn't. Anyway, so as you know, maybe Avery can make it up here. Hi, Cement Shoes. Nice to see you. Maybe Avery will be able to make it up with us. She's not feeling well. If she can't, we're sending you love, Avery. And we're going to talk about, does everybody remember when we had milk cartons and faces on them? Because that's what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about the Amber Alert and how that came about. And Arctic, of course, has a petition, which is in the video description. Please sign it because it's for everybody. Why don't you explain to them? Do you want to just do the milk carton thing first? Should we just do that?
Yeah, let's start with the milk
Should
carton.
I roll the film for it? Or
That's
should I
kind
just,
of what began awareness for missing children, was the whole milk carton thing.
right.
And then that got us to the Amber Alerts and then to where we are today. So,
Okay, and I'm going to share screen. Let me see milk carton kids. Okay. That
well,
should
Frankie,
be
there's
ours.
actually reasons why they don't do the milk carton thing today, and I'll talk about that later.
Okay, well, hopefully we can just see this. I'm not a very good reader at this. Maybe I should just roll the film. I think I'm just going to roll the film. I hate reading. I really do. I can't stand it. And I got something that's just like 3 seconds long, or what is it, a minute long. So I'll play this and then we'll talk about it. How's that?
Works for me.
Okay. I don't know. It's not playing.
It played. It played.
Oh, really? What?
Yeah.
Something's going on my end then, because it was like, it stopped like in the middle of it or something. Maybe it's just my internet. I don't know. Because when it rains, it gets really weird. So I don't know. Anyway, so it played. So Arctic, you know a lot about this, more than I do.
Oh yeah, and as Mad Miss Hatter pointed out, Johnny Gosh was indeed the first child ever to appear on a milk carton. Him and another local paper boy that vanished from that same area were the first two to appear side by side on a milk carton. And that campaign lasted until the mid 1980s. And contrary to popular belief, though, it never really brought a lot of children home. And
Right.
one of the reasons why they did away with it is it was actually traumatizing children. I mean, can you imagine your 6-year-old pouring their bowl of cereal every day, and every day it's another child on the milk carton missing? And, what if it's one of their friends that's on the milk carton that morning? I mean, so that's one of the main reasons why they did away with the program. That, and it wasn't really effective because by the time they would get these pictures printed up, I mean, I can make a video, and within the time that I've got the video put together and put it on my page, that child's found. So,
right, exactly.
Printing up these milk cartons, getting them distributed and everything. Well, by the time they got everything out there, a lot of times these children were already back home. So,
well, also there is that girl that was from New Jersey, and she seen her face on a milk carton and went home and was asking her dad what this was all about. So, I mean, I think the dad it was something about custody or something, but the girl was really confused. Like you said, it was traumatizing to kids to go to lunch and have a milk carton with kids' faces on it that they're missing, so it was hard for them to take. Oh, hello, True Crime Tamara. Nice to see you. And I think I've seen another one. Melinda, nice to see you. And how you doing, Bethias? Did I say that right?
yep.
Oh, I finally did. I cannot believe it. It's taken me all this time. But so I also put a poll up. So if, because I think at this point, everything helps. Do you know what I mean? Like, why not use it all? Use all resources, right?
Well, and again, on the milk carton thing, I think it's just a matter of forensics, because by the time you get everything printed up and out there, those children are likely found.
Right.
I mean, unless it's people that have been missing for over a year or something like that, then that would possibly be pretty effective. I think there are a lot of things that we need to look into doing. Not so much the milk cartons, because you don't really have a lot of paper milk cartons anymore.
Right, that's true.
But we could be doing a lot more. Everyone goes shopping. We've got all these plastic bags at Walmart that are getting, brought home on a regular basis. Why don't we put children's pictures on those? Or even better, you've got the job killer, as I like to call it, the self-checkout at Walmart. While you're scanning groceries, we could, in the corner of that little thing, put the pictures, the little flyers for missing kids in the corner of that screen. Because when I was a kid, I'd go into Walmart, and the first thing you saw when you walked into Walmart was a big bulletin board that had all the missing persons flyers on there. And you don't see that anymore.
Exactly. You don't. They got a small wall way over by where customer services, and not all of them have that even. So it's hard to say, but then that brings us to where we are now, and that would be the Amber Alert. And I have a little video on that too, because there is a story behind it. A young girl was, well, I'll let the video talk for you. It's only a minute. So hopefully this plays. Well, there we go. That was quick.
Lisa, yes, they are doing that in certain areas to try to help the earth, which I'm all about. And that's why I say the technology is key. Put it on these gas pumps. You've got a touch screen on every gas pump where you go to get gas. We could put the flyers on there, scanning one flyer at a time. We can do it at the self-checkouts, because everything, as much as we hate it, is starting to get automated. I was at a fast food restaurant the other day. They didn't have people taking orders. They had a touch screen for me to order my food. So,
really?
Yeah.
Wow. Hello, 6 cents a million. Nice to see you. For sure. So Amber Hagerman, that's her name. And she'll be forever remembered for helping other children with this Amber Alert, which now they've really worked out, because as you can see, it was like only 3 radio stations first did it, and then 8 other, stations, and then now it's developed to what it is now. But it still needs to be for everybody, because everybody matters. And like it said, time is the key for any missing person, especially a child. Time, an adult, maybe they can, do a little bit more, but a child is so vulnerable, and time is just of the essence. The first few hours matter more than anything. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So an Amber Alert with more detail, that it brings a broadcast out like a tornado warning to everybody, is needed for everybody,
Well, and
especially every child.
that is a good point. It should be like a tornado warning. Unfortunately, not so much.
All right.
It's great that they get broadcast across all phones and everything, but it should be like a true EMS warning where it gets broadcast across your radios, which was what they were literally doing in the early days, which is ironic that they don't do it now. But broadcasted across all the radios and TV stations and everything whenever one of those alerts goes out. It's kind of funny how it started off that way, and now they don't do that anymore.
Right. And they have a criteria for it, for getting one. So I'm going to show what that is.
If you can call it that.
It's kind of messed up. Okay. So this is their criteria. Okay. And I would imagine it's in the order. Okay. And it says, I wonder if we should go to the bullet points. Well, okay. Well, it says there is a responsible belief that by law enforcement that an abduction has occurred. So in other words, there has to be an abduction. The law enforcement agencies believe that the child is in an immediate danger or serious bodily injury or death. That there's enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction for law enforcement to issue an Amber Alert to assist in the recovery of the child. An abduction is for a child aged 17 years or younger, and the child's name and other criteria's data elements, including the child abduction flag, and have been entered into the National Crime Information Center system. Okay, so I have problems with that first few things. Okay,
well, okay. First off, let's say I want to start by saying that this criteria notice at the top of that it said recommended criteria,
right?
Because the criteria is different from state to state. Just as it is with silver alerts, because one person that might qualify for a silver alert in one state isn't going to qualify for it in another state. And the same goes for Amber Alerts. And the biggest issue I have is them saying it has to be an abduction.
Yes.
Because children who are runaways are statistically speaking at more danger of being trafficked than a child abduction case. Now, that's not to say that abductions aren't at risk of being trafficked or anything like that. They're in danger too. That's why I say every child deserves an Amber Alert, regardless. I do agree with one of their criteria, though. There has to be enough information on that child in order to put the alert out. Yeah. Because what we see way too often is people will make posts, "My daughter is missing. If you see her, please contact me." And there's not any information, not even the daughter's name, not what she looks like, or anything like that. And I guess they're just assuming that her friends or the parents' friends are going to see it and know. But when you're putting that out there and it starts getting shared across social media, advocates like myself, I can't put a video out and help you out. No. I have to have information in order to put a video out. And please, for the love of God, parents, if you're going to put a photograph, which you absolutely need to do, make sure it's not a selfie of them sticking their tongue out on Twitter with some picture. Make sure it's clear. It wasn't taken on a Nokia 3310.
And it's recent.
Yes, and it's recent. Because what we see all too often is, like, say a child is in the foster care system. Well, they don't like the children being put on social media. And so what tends to happen, I had a case last year where 3 foster brothers went missing. And instead of putting a recent picture out, they put a photo that was 3 years old. And one of these children was 12 at the time that picture was taken. Well, he's now almost 16.
Right.
And that he looks nothing like that picture.
I remember that case. I remember that. Yeah, they need to be like we watched the video last week on the criteria of what parents should do once their child is missing. Okay, now this is what the law enforcement does with it, and they have silver alerts, which are I don't know a lot about, but they're kind of iffy on even putting them out, aren't they, Arctic?
Well, okay, so in some states, if you have a illness of any kind, that's going to qualify. Yes, I think it will qualify you for a silver alert. But in other states, they don't care if you have 2 weeks to live. If you're not over 65 years old, they're not going to put an Amber Alert out for you.
Oh.
Like I did a video on a woman that is 6 months pregnant and missing this morning, and there's no silver alert out for her. And I believe she was in your state.
In my state? Whoa.
I believe. I'll have to go check the video. I don't know. I know I covered one from your state this morning.
Yeah, I seen that yesterday too, that you did. A girl.
But let's see.
I think she was pregnant.
No, never mind. The pregnant woman's from New York is where she's from.
Okay.
But yeah. No silver alert issued. And, this is a mother of 4. She's pregnant with her 5th child, 6 months pregnant with her 5th child. Yeah. So.
And unfortunately, when I hear that, my mind goes to, baby daddy did something. You know what I mean? So, I mean, that's just the way I go because that's usually what's been going on. And it's awful.
Don't think so in this particular case. She went missing from a hospital. Imagine that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, and that's another thing, but that's a whole other video that we need to do is the problem with so many people that are going missing from these medical facilities, because I have covered so many in the past 6 months of people that have disappeared from medical facilities.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've seen a few. I remember a few of them last year. You were doing them, and I was like, like they just let them out, and I was like, what? They'll just let out this autistic, non-speaking, nonverbal person on the street. Remember that? It's like, whoa.
And he's still missing. Nathaniel, he's still missing. Yes.
No, that's horrible to hear that. It really is. So I don't know. I mean, some of the things I've been hearing lately, these past couple days, has been really bad. Like Oakley snow. That's horrible. Do you want to?
Yeah. Well, I hope that they get extradited back to Oklahoma, because I know Oklahoma is a death penalty state, and they got the fast track to the death penalty there. And that lady, I can't use that term for her, but anyway, she deserves a needle in both of her goddamn arms after what she did to Oakley. Because I'll tell you what, if I don't believe in hitting women, but I'd like to knock that bitch straight on her ass right now.
Yeah. I can't even believe it. Found in a dresser drawer. It's getting worse the way what they're doing to their children, let alone harming them in any way.
There was a 6-year-old found dead in a bucket in a driveway earlier today.
Yeah, in a bucket. I didn't get a chance to hear about that. I went over to Burden of Proof. If you guys haven't seen Burden of Proof, she's very good. She's non-monetized, does it for the right reasons. She was talking about it, but I was too busy doing other things, so I didn't really get a chance to hear it. What's the story of that one?
I haven't had a chance to dig into it. I know Chris Thorns did a video on it earlier today too. I was going to, but I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off, so I haven't had a chance to look at that one yet. But yeah, Burden of Proof is awesome. If you're not subbed up, go sub up to her. Go sub up to Chris Thorns. Chris Thorns is awesome. They're here for the right reasons, guys. Yep. And that's the thing. We need to change our whole point of view on how we're getting these kids' faces out there. We need to reform this Amber Alert system to where any child 18 and younger, it doesn't matter the situation, they get an Amber Alert. And we need to make sure that these Amber Alerts start getting broadcast across all our media platforms, including YouTube, including Netflix, because the fact of the matter is most people don't even listen to mainstream media anymore. They rely on us to get their information, unfortunately. And so even if they broadcast this stuff out to the mainstream media, a lot of times they're not going to see it, right. And especially with it just getting broadcast to cell phones, because they give you the option to turn off the alerts, to turn off the Amber Alerts on your phone, which I think shouldn't be an option either, but that's just me.
No, I totally agree with you. 100% I do. I mean, I think they really need to redo it, include everybody. Okay. It doesn't matter the circumstances. They should all be included. They should be broadcast across every television in your state, in your phones, whatever means they can, because you're talking about somebody's life, and whether they matter to you or not, they matter to somebody, and they're missing, and it's important. And it's also probably a really good way to stop some of the trafficking, because they'll be aware of this. People traveling in cars, they pay attention to Amber Alerts. It's been proven to be a very effective thing, a tool.
Yeah, and I'm glad Mad Miss Hatter brought up Johnny Gosh, because believe it or not, still today in 2023, we still have law enforcement agencies illegally telling parents that they have to wait 48 hours to file a missing persons report on their child.
Yep, we just seen that.
Which is absolutely absurd. The first 48 hours are critical. And in Johnny Gosh's case, they made the parents wait because they said he was a runaway. They said, even though this boy had never had any history of running away, never got into it with his parents, not a reason in the world for him to run away, they stamped him a runaway. Well, what we now know today is more than likely this child was trafficked. There's another case that I covered on my channel a while back, Tabitha Tutors. They, again, assumed she was a runaway. Well, now, all these years later, they're like, oh, well, we were wrong. I don't think she's a runaway. Well, it's a little late now, don't you think? So we've got to take every one of these cases, every one of these kids, with the same sense of urgency in trying to get their faces out there to as many people as possible, and not just in their local state, but across the web. Because what happens is, if some child's going to be trafficked, they're not going to stay in Idaho if that's where they went missing from. They could end up in Hawaii. They could end up out of the country, which is why social media is so very important in trying to get these children's faces out there.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. I mean, I just heard somebody saying, well, if you live in this area and you'd like some posters, and I was like, pass them out to anybody that wants them. I'll put some out in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Doesn't matter. Nearby states, far away states, chances are, if they're going to keep the child and not harm the child, and isn't something, really horrible that they have in mind when they take the child, they're not going to stay in the state. They're not going to stay a block down, 2 blocks down, 5 miles away. That's just not going to happen.
And we've had a lot of cases recently that should, by all rights, have qualified for an Amber Alert, and no alert was issued. Just even by today's criteria. There was a toddler, 18 months old, missing out of Tennessee the other day. They put an endangered child alert out, but they didn't put an Amber Alert out. They had a vehicle of interest. They had suspects. Why didn't they put an Amber Alert out for that child? It is ridiculous that even when these children do qualify, it's like pulling teeth to get them put the alert out for them.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I mean, it's really hard for like us, who are trying to put it out, and well, you mainly, you put out more than anybody, but like you said, they don't have a good picture. There's not an immediate, you don't get much information. And then for the big agencies who do probably know more, for them to put, not have Amber Alerts, and not have every, be on the lookout for in every, police car around the whole state is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. There's so many reforms we need for it, but your reform is to get an Amber Alert for everybody. The petition is in the description for sure. It's in all of Arctic's videos, all of mine, all them links for any organization. What is it? The foundation for what are this?
The Aware Foundation is the one that I do the most work with. I work with them every day. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children is a great foundation. The Morgan Nick Foundation is close to my heart because Morgan Nick went missing from literally the next town over from me. She's been missing for over 30 years at this point.
Wow.
And her mother, Colleen Nick, started the Morgan Nick Foundation. You've got the Polly Claus Foundation, started by Mark Claus, which is who put the video that we listened to last week out. Yeah. You've got the Kyron Horman Foundation. the Gabby Petito Foundation. There's a lot of them out there, and most of them, starting with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, started because of parents that took their tragedies and turned it into something positive to try to help other people's kids. When John Walsh's son went missing, that was what prompted the creation, ultimately, of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. There were a lot of steps along the way, but that's why we now have NCMEC now.
Right. And the 26th of May, I think it was, or the 26th of April, was the anniversary for the Amanda Berry and I just watched their stuff. I'm so bad at names. Amanda Berry. Oh my gosh. It's a movie on Netflix called Unseen. It's about this guy who kept these women, children missing for like over 10 years in his basement and in his house, and they were found. So it's a good message to never give up hope either. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have hardly anything information except for posters to put around, and they still, Michelle Knight. Yep, she was the one that nobody really looked for. And Amanda Berry, and then I don't remember the other one. I should be prepared. I should know these names. I should have run them down. But anyway, they were found after 10 years, even a little bit longer, I think, for Michelle Knight. She was the first one. And she was an adult that nobody really looked for, you know. She didn't make it to get her kid, and nobody really looked for her, but they looked for the other kids. And that guy that kept him was friends with the last child that they had, and knew the kid and said, wow, look for her everywhere. So you just never know, you know what I mean? But hope is there for sure. So, you know, that's one of the biggest messages that was put out there. Hope is there. And with all this technology we have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we see cases not just like those three that you mentioned, but look at Steven Stainer. He was missing for an extremely long time and then was found. We've seen cases where people are found after 40 or 50 years. And so that's why I tell parents, I was like, you cannot give up hope unless you've got proof positive that something happened to that child. And, you know, that to me, that's the thing that really frustrates me is when I see parents that are all ready to just give up and, you know, assume their child is dead.
Right.
You know, and to me, if I had a child, there would be no convincing me my child was dead until I had a body. So,
yep, there you go. That's how I would feel too. Same JC Duggar too. She was, look at her. She was in somebody's backyard, raising kids, and nobody they didn't see anything. I find that so hard to believe. I just so hard to believe that they never heard or thought something was strange about a tent or a shed with kids, and they didn't make no noise. To me, that is just like, you are just not paying attention to your neighborhood. And then I find you just as culpable, you know, you're just as responsible as the people that are doing it. You're seeing something and letting it fly by is not cool, you know?
And, you know, in cases of runaways, another thing that we need to start taking a look at, especially in cases where we've got habitual runaways that have gone 3, 4, 5 times run away. What's going on at home? Why are they continuing to run? There's got to be something going on that's causing them to try to escape that environment.
I say that too. It's either internet interference, you know, where there's somebody grooming them, or there's something bad at home that they can't talk about. You know what I mean? It's like I said today, it's really sad that a lot of these children that we're seeing that end up murdered are being murdered by the ones that are supposed to protect them. So there's some mental health issues going on around for sure.
Well, yeah, definitely. And then we need to start making these social media platforms far more accountable than what they are. There was a case that I covered last year where an Amber Alert was put out for a 13-year-old boy that went missing. He had been groomed online by a 27-year-old man. His parents had contacted Twitter weeks prior to him being abducted because they found the conversations that he was having with this man. Well, what happened initially is they put the man's Twitter profile in wrong when they put the original request in for the police to subpoena it. So as soon as they got the right information, they immediately put another request in for Twitter to look and get the police the information. Well, it wasn't until after this boy was abducted that Twitter finally got on the ball and got police their information. And that wasn't what found him. What happened is that social media really found him. They did put an Amber Alert out. It got blasted all over social media. Someone recognized this dude at a gas station miles from where he abducted the kid where he went to get gas, and called authorities. So,
Yes. Thank you, Mad Hatter, for this. I forgot I could do this. I was looking at the other chat so I could give a wrench. So I forgot all about this. And Prissy Speaks had a really, really good idea. She thinks that they should put missing people's faces on the advertisements on YouTube.
I think that's an awesome idea. Yeah. I do.
Yeah.
And while we're on that subject, I've got a little bit of an issue right now that I want to address. I get that everyone is consumed with all these trials. We want Gannon to get justice. We want the Cal City boys to get justice. We want the Daybell kids to get justice, and I get that. But while you're covering these trials, you're not covering any of these missing kids. How hard would it be for you to put a little slideshow in the corner of your live stream that shows the flyers of missing kids? Since you sit there and call yourself a child advocate and you say you're all about bringing these kids home, well, you've completely abandoned covering these kids, because that's not what's bringing the views right now. It's the trial coverage that is. And so you could at least do that much if you're going to sit here and say you're advocating to try to bring these kids home. That's just my opinion, but I've seen a lot of people that are generally very good about covering the missing. And now that all these trials are going on, they aren't covering anyone. They're just sitting there covering the trials. So.
Right. I agree with you. What would you do about them and the Amber Alert with continuing runaways? Well, I would treat them just like anybody else missing. But maybe, they should, if they catch them, maybe parents should be a little bit more honest about their children. And just because they're a problem child, maybe they're not a problem child. Maybe they've never had a problem with this child ever, and they ran away. That, to me, would be, you should look in their social media. You might find answers. Okay, that's the first place I would go. And if they're on drugs or whatnot, that doesn't matter. It shouldn't matter.
It shouldn't matter. But I get why they're not wanting to come forth with that to law enforcement, because law enforcement hears drugs and they're like, okay, well, they brought this on themselves, blah, blah, blah. It shouldn't be that way, but it is.
It is.
If they hear drugs, if they hear prostitution, if they hear mental health issues, they're done. They don't really make any effort to go out and try to find these kids.
Exactly.
Or adults, for that matter. And
I think they need to educate. Law enforcement needs to be a little more educated and think a little bit more openly, and quit putting. See, that's why nobody belongs in a box, because everybody's individual and they have a criteria they go by, and they're like, oh, well, they're 15. So, they're just gone for a little bit. Call back in 2 days. Well, 2 days, kid could be across the country, out of the country, or dead. So I hate, saying that, but that's a reality. So I think our police need to, and our law enforcement agencies really need to look at runaways as just a missing person, instead of, well, they're a runaway. I don't even,
correct.
I would be, as a parent, and I had a young teen disappear, I would be afraid to say they ran away. I'd say,
and I don't know where my kid is. When they stamp these kids as runaways, they don't know they disappeared in the middle of the night. Someone could have taken them in the middle of the night. They don't know that this child ran away. That's the thing that really makes me so angry, is they're automatically stamping any child over 10 years old that goes missing as a runaway today.
Right.
And it's absurd.
And we already know of a case where a girl snuck out at 3:00 in the morning, and she didn't have no clothes on but her pajamas, and she left everything there. Well, she was being groomed online.
Yeah.
So, if the child's never done anything like that, and then all of a sudden just decides to leave and leaves everything behind and all this, there's a strong indication that child is being groomed online. Parents really need to pay attention, but we know how, world gets. But when it comes to social media, you should be very, very, very strict on that. Pay a lot of attention, because look at that new kick that everybody's going to. I'm sorry, but that platform is a breeding ground for pedophiles.
It's not, yeah. I mean, it's not just Kick. It's so many of them out there. TikTok's one of the worst. Snapchat. And then you've got the whole Omegle thing where kids are literally talking live on camera with who knows who. And, you know, it's just breeding grounds for predators out there. And, you know, you've got to, I understand we're all busy. We all work several hours a week, me above all people. But we've got to take the time to go through our kids' phones at least once a week and look at who they're talking to, look at what they're doing online. If they're gaming, look at the types of platforms they're gaming on, because these gaming streams are breeding grounds for predators too. We've seen so many of them, even on Minecraft, which is usually 9 and 12-year-olds playing on. These predators are infiltrating these gaming platforms. And so you've got to be so cautious of what your children are doing. And then the problem is that most of these gamers, they've got Discords, and then Discords are very hard to track too. So, I mean, it's a full-time job trying to keep your kids safe on these media platforms. And that's why a lot of parents nowadays are going to getting their kids flip phones, going old school to where they have phones that they can't do this type of stuff on the internet with. So
that's a good idea. I didn't really know people were doing that, but I think that's a really good idea, because, you know, I don't know. I just think, you know, I feel like what we really don't. Oh, let me just, I tagged you and didn't say anything in my little message there. Sorry to hear that about your friend, Tamara. So I just seen that. But anyway, where was I? Oh gosh, I get so.
Oh, Chrissy, I guarantee you the AOL. I mean, the AOL chat rooms had to be worse than the Yahoo runs. I remember back in the day, some of the AOL chat rooms I found myself in, and I was just like, okay. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, I've never had that issue with my kids and the internet, because it was still really new, because I'm really old. So my kids grew up with it, you know, but especially more than I did, but it wasn't anything like it is now. It's so everything. I mean, my gosh, they got these tracer things where they can find out where you're at. And I mean, just by looking at your surroundings and things like that. And I mean, this stuff is scary, you know, it's scary for adults and kids that don't know about it. Just, you know, hey,
and the sad thing is that some of this technology is a double-edged sword. What might be good to help keep track of an autistic child can also be used by predators to track your child, like the little Apple tags.
Yes.
It's great to put those in an autistic child's backpack to try to track them in case they go missing or they wander off. But you also have people trying to put them in women's purses to keep tabs on them, to stalk them
on their cars. Yeah, I've heard of that. And some we don't talk about a lot about, but the statistics are that 95% of the kids that are missing do come home. Okay, they are found. Not saying always, you know, alive, but they are found. So it's really rare to have one be gone for a very long time without knowing anything. I mean, we just need to say that, because that's what the statistics are out there. I know it seems really bad, because we do have access to all these things that are good and bad. And we see a lot of the horrible things right away, where we used to have to wait for the nightly news. You know what I mean? So it wasn't so pumped into us all the time. And like Arctic, I don't know how you could take it sometimes when you're doing 11 videos a day of people. And it's like, you know, it's just so many. It gets so heartbreaking, you know?
It's frustrating, because in so many of these cases, there's clear reasons why an Amber Alert should have been issued, and it wasn't. And then you've got the cases where law enforcement's just not taking it with any sense of real urgency, you know. And people think I'm anti-law enforcement. I'm not. I just want them to do their fucking jobs. I want them to do what we use our tax dollars to pay them with. You know, treat these kids with a sense of urgency. Treat everyone that's missing with a sense of urgency, regardless of their background. I don't care if they did drugs 5 minutes before they went missing. They're still someone's brother, someone's father, someone's loved one, and they deserve to be found just as much as anyone else does.
Right. I agree. I'm trying to catch up on Miss Percy Speaks got something good here going on. People are agreeing with, and I'm trying to find it. We need, what is this? Maybe court-ordered therapy. Find out where it's causing them to run. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
So, typos. You see, these kids are thrown away. Now with no Amber Alerts is bullshit. I agree. Oh, here we go. Back in the day, Yahoo chat rooms were horrible. I worked with Vigilante Justice back them. Let me see. Here's the longer one. What's it say? I absolutely love the idea to turn it into a reality. Reality would be a fight. One very long fight. It's almost impossible and not easy to. Yes. You see, this is what the major problem is for us people who want to have changes. You got to find a senator or somebody in your area that is willing to take up a bill for this.
Well, and the other issue is that our political arena today is nothing more than one big cockfighting contest, and no party is better than the next. If the Democrats come up with a good idea, the Republicans cock-block them. If the Republicans come out with a good idea, the Democrats cock-block them. And no one is willing to walk across the aisle, even if it's for the greater good, even if it's for a bill that's going to help protect the safety of these kids. They'd rather just shoot their party down because, hey, you're not on our side.
Right. Right. I agree. Politics is so screwed, and you can't get things passed like you could before. A little bit easier, and usually it's what's really bad is that it takes a tragedy, to make a change, and
sometimes not even then. Look how many school shootings we've had, and we still aren't seeing the changes that need to be made. But I'm not going to get into that right now. But I mean,
get into a lot.
sometimes sometimes even tragedies don't change things. I mean, we've literally had representatives shot, and yet they'll sit there and say we don't need to make any changes. Everything's all hunky dory. So I mean,
yeah, they don't want to stir the pot. There's so many people that are like totally anti-gun, and then there's ones that are like, I need a gun everywhere I go, and let's find
a middle ground somewhere. Let's find a middle ground, because that's how I am.
Yeah,
I don't
me too.
have a problem in the world with you owning a gun to defend yourself, but you don't need an AK-47 to do that. Right. I mean, and if you've got a history of mental health issues, yeah, you deserve to have a little bit more scrutiny before you can just go into a gun shop and walk out with a gun 5 minutes. I mean,
yeah. I believe there should be a little bit more wait time on the guns, maybe, but I think everybody has the right to have one. Just because I don't have one doesn't mean somebody else doesn't need it or whatever. So I just keep them away from the kids. There's got to be a safer way, something. Let's just face it, guns are going to be on the street.
They are, and the argument is no matter what we do, they're going to be on the street, which is true. Right. But if we put some common sense laws out there, even if it saves one child's life, don't you think it's worth it? I mean, the drugs are still on the street, and we have laws in place.
Exactly.
I mean,
well, I what I say is just make the security stronger for schools and kids. I mean, every school should have cops in there with guns if they need it, and they should have metal detectors, and that's just the way it should be nowadays. It might seem some kind of a... And
it's sad. It's sad that we've come to that, to where our schools have to be prisons, but that's the world we live in now. I mean, and more schools are having school resource officers there at all times, which I think is great. Yeah. And they're getting metal detectors and cameras. And the problem
what about that room that every classroom could have? That's that sealed off room, and boom, they can't get shot. I mean, why not build that in there? I don't know. There's just things that they can put in place that even if it costs money, it shouldn't matter. It's the children and the future of them that matters. And I believe in all precautionary measures should be taken. That's just how I feel. I'm sure there's a lot of people that feel that way. Just a lot of people don't stand up and say it,
Yeah. I mean, and the only time I put out something saying that the child's been found safe or that they've been located is if law enforcement directly puts out a statement that says that they have, because I've got no reason to go
Right.
against the fact that they said
Yeah.
they've been located. I mean, but other than that, yeah, I'm not going to mark someone safe just because, hey, one of their friends says, oh, they're safe, they're playing video games at my house. No, I'm not going to do that. So
Yeah, well, I've never seen one that says I've seen located, and that where you don't know if it's safe or not. And then I've seen some, found deceased. So I don't know about ever seeing any that are found safely and have been, not
yeah,
really
I
found.
mean,
I
there
don't
are
know.
a couple on my stream where I've marked them located because law enforcement didn't specify in their
Right,
original post if they were found safe or alive. They just said Mark Smith's been found located. So I mean,
right.
and I don't want to put found safe and then 2 days later they say, okay, so he was found deceased. So I just cover my bases and put located. So.
Yeah, it's all you can do. I mean, we just do what we can, So I don't know, but what are some like of the cases that you've covered lately that have kind of bothered you, like Oakley Snow? I'd like
Oakley
to hear a
is
little bit more. I mean, is there anything really said about it? The boyfriend's arrested for murder, or
the boyfriend is arrested, not so much for murder. They may have upped his charges. I have to check. But the mother was arrested. They were in two separate states, arrested in two separate states. So now it remains to be seen, since the child was taken from Oklahoma, if they'll get extradited back to Oklahoma, or if they'll face trial where the child's body was
Indiana.
at. So
Right? Was it in Indiana?
yeah.
Okay, that's really sad. But in the trials, I listened to a little bit of the Daybell, and I'll tell you what, them some sick people did that stuff to them kids, especially to Tylee. Really, really bad way they passed, and I just can't believe it. And of course, then you have Morticia Letitia, and she's way out there.
That's the one that I just want to strangle. I want to put my hands around her neck and choke her until every last breath of life is out of her and she turns blue. And then I want to put her in a suitcase. And anyway,
yes, well, she's she's trying to claim insanity or whatever it is, right? So
well, there's no doubt that she's a taco short of a full combination platter, but she knew what she was doing when she killed that child.
Well, she's done some strange things in jail too, like smeared her own feces and consumed them, hitting, trying to escape. And I mean, the woman's a whack job. I guess she was like picking her hair in court and putting her fingers in her mouth and stuff. So it was like, just, she's just very disturbing. But I think she's acting. Okay. I think, like you said, of course she's nuts. She is crazy to do what she did to that poor little boy, but she's not out of her mind. This is a planned thing. She traveled with this body. We have
seen this before.
Yeah.
I mean, Jodi Arias was sitting there doing the handstands in the interrogation room when the cops left the room. So, I mean, we've seen this play out before. You're all putting on an act for some type of insanity defense. And yeah, sorry about you. I don't have, even if you are mentally ill, I'm sorry. I don't feel for you after what you did to that child. Well, you know what? A lot of people suffer from mental illness and they don't go around killing innocent babies. So.
Exactly. Or, they come from divorces and whatnot, and they don't kill their stepchildren. You know what I mean? It's crazy. I mean, but I think she should get the full extent of everything, just suffer in prison for the rest of your life, lady. Yeah. You're sick. Okay. What you did to that little boy is horrible. And it just bothers me so badly that there's not more awareness of what's going on in the families. They're like, I know the father was gone a lot, but didn't you see bruises? Didn't he say no? I mean, this is an older child, I mean, I got so many questions, you know what I mean? That
the big question I've got in the Gannon case is why isn't the daughter facing any charges? She had to have smelled Gannon's body in that U-Haul. She had to have known something was up. You're not going to tell me any differently. And so I don't know if maybe she's worked out some type of thing with the...
How old is she?
At the time, she was underage. I think she's over 18 now, but at the time she wasn't.
So she was like a teenager, though.
Which I get. She was, I mean, look at what she did to Gannon. She could have feared for her own life, too. So, yeah. I mean, there's that, too. So
right. We don't know. That's just it. We really don't know, you know? So I just can't see how she could get away with all this stuff and not, I mean, because the bruising and stuff on him was also old, too, you know, and like the, you know, broken bones and stuff like that was old injuries. So, you know, I mean, you know, that was pretty gruesome to watch in court too, because they showed pictures and I was like, not ready for that. And I was like, whoa, this is a little too much. You know, I mean, I think everybody should be able to watch it if they want to. I just wasn't prepared for that. And it was like, oh my gosh, my heart just hurt so bad for that little boy. And to imagine what he went through and, you know, being drugged and just the lady was horrible. She's a monster. She is evil, walking in skin and breathing our air. That's straight up how I feel about her. She's a whack job and she needs to suffer. You know what I mean? But there is a lot of that going on. And I just am wondering what the heck is going on with people not noticing it. Are they afraid to say something? Or, you know, I mean, I don't know. I couldn't hide anything like that. If I seen something going on, my mouth would be screaming. And, you know,
you bet. And well, I mean, and a lot of the issue is a lot of times people do speak up and then DHS or CPS or whatever comes out, they leave the kids there.
Yeah.
You know, and then when they finally do take kids from homes that are fucked up, they give the kids back to these parents.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Exactly. Exactly. There's like this, the system is so screwed up and not really for any change. I don't know. I'm frustrated by it all. I totally am. From Philadelphia, still missing here. Do you know about this case?
I've seen that name before. I may have even covered him on my channel. I'll have to look into that one, Miss Hatter. I'll look at that one and see what I think. Because I'm almost positive I covered him at one time on my channel.
Well, Mad Miss Hatter knows a lot about stuff. We should get you up here. You can come up and tell us all this stuff. I've seen a lot today. She knew everything I was talking about, and she put it in chat. So I appreciate that because I don't know. I'm getting my. I know people call it COVID brain. Well, I just call it antibiotic brain. Let's put it that way. I was taking antibiotics and I have been like not right since. So I don't know. I'm still trying to get right.
Okay. I'll look at it when we get finished here and see what I can put my take on. My problem is I've got so many cases that I'm working on at any given time that they all, you know, I have problems trying to keep my notes together on them. And, you know, someone throws another name into the mix and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but you remember their name. I'm really bad at names, even pronouncing names. I'm just really kind of like illiterate when it comes to that. I just don't remember them. I start talking about it. I do, but it's the names that I get bad. And you're like, you can, that name. I'll get good. I just still haven't been that good, you know, but I'm also got my other case that I've been on 6 years. Now they got this documentary coming out and I'm not sure, but I interviewed for it several times for several weeks. So you might see me in there. And it's called Convicting and it'll be out in the summer, June, I think, or May, coming up pretty quick. And its name is Convicting. And it's supposed to be an unbiased look, the truth about making a murderer, the Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey case. And yes, I was interviewed and my whole team was interviewed for many weeks for this. So who knows if we're going to be in it or not. I kind of really have second thoughts about it now because I think they're going to try to make it look like we're guilters or something. And well, I know they can't change my words because I never said anything, but they're innocent, and argued facts, you know? So I'm looking forward to that, but I don't really care for who picked it up because the lady doesn't know what she's talking about. She hasn't done no research on it. And so I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. So you guys look for that. and see if I'm in it.
Yes, I do
Yeah.
remember the glitchy sneakers that he was selling with the missing kids' faces on them. That was a whole ordeal. I remember all about that.
Oh yeah, that guy that's famous, or made movies or was in
No, no,
movies.
no. He had a website. He was taking missing kids' faces, putting them on sneakers. Yeah, yeah, and selling them.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a sicko. Why? Was he trying to help awareness or?
No. He was profiting off of missing kids. Certain other creators, but yeah. Anyway,
There's a lot of them out there, ain't there? It's like us little ones that talk about facts and try to show you that, different things and how we can make change or whatever. I'm not patting ourselves on the back, but I'm kind of patting ourselves on the back because we're boring. I got no views. You don't get views, and people don't come in, and because facts are boring to them. But let me talk some shit about some YouTuber for a while, and I'll have fucking 100 people in here. And I ain't gonna do that because that's not what I'm about. But anyway, all right, Arctic. It's been an hour. I really don't have much more to say. Just look for us next week. We'll be
yeah.
back next week.
Percy was asking if Brendan's out. He's not, unfortunately.
No, Brendan is not out, and I'm still fighting the fight over on that community because I belong to 2 communities. So after the summer, I heard about that. After summer went missing, it's people. But yeah, people try to, yes, totally, 100%, and they're still doing it. There's still some creators that are running their own videos and commentating over them and claiming that the Wells did it. And well, good luck on that. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Because I am a strong believer in innocent until proven guilty. Can't help it. I work with wrongful convictions, and that's just the way I am. Hello, Christina. And I just,
yeah, because I mean, I get that the Wells weren't the best parents in the world. We all know
they're
that.
dysfunctional as fuck.
And they had their issues, or may still have, with drugs and alcohol and whatnot.
Right.
But that doesn't mean they killed their kid. Okay,
Right.
There's not any proof of that. And if there was, after all this time, they'd be sitting in jail right now. And for those that want to go, well, blah, 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 well, let's remember how this community treated Brandy and Tyler when Monkey went missing. And now they're all having to eat crow because it looks as though, yeah, well, they're which I knew to begin with, Brandy and Tyler had absolutely nothing to do with Monkey's disappearance. So
Right. It's the wrongly convicted community. You can look up in YouTube, just put making a murderer. Shit'll pop up. I should probably pop up there too. But yeah, it's the wrongly convicted where like we talk about, or we fight for their innocence. We really do. We make rallies and go to peaceful protests. And, so that's why when I watch Betty and her bullhorn, I'm like, that bullshit don't work. And we don't do that, but we bring attention. So, I do it the legal way. She says she's within her rights. Well, let me tell you what. No,
now Betty is a world famous YouTuber now. World famous,
Yeah, well, so is all of them. And we're Molly Go Lightly too. Bye. Kick. Because you can stay over on that kick. Because I don't want nothing to do with that platform. That really is. I watched it for a little bit and I was like, oh, no, I don't think I couldn't go for that. That's not going to be there very long anyway, I don't think. So they pay you in Bitcoin. So are you getting paid? You know what I mean? I don't understand that. So anyway, thank you, Arctic. It's always a pleasure talking to you. I'll talk to you a little bit later on today. And everybody else, we are so happy to have you. One viewer, if you get the message, it matters, but we really appreciate all of you. One way you can help if you're not a creator is share our stuff, share the posters we put out, go to Facebook if you have it and look for some missing posters and put them on your post. There's always small ways to help.
Oh, and absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, and share these videos to your Twitter and your Facebook too, because that makes a huge difference. I've actually had children that were missing, that runaways. They saw the video, saw how much their parents wanted them home, and they came home. So you never know. I mean, it may not be that someone turns them in. It may be that they turn themselves in because they see that their parents are actually looking for them. A lot of these kids, they feel like their parents don't care about them, and that's part of the reason why they run away. So, I mean, it all makes a big difference.
It does. And, I mean, you're really the only YouTuber that it can honestly say you brought back kids. Okay. So JLR and all them, that's how I feel about them.
Yes, Mad Miss Hatter. You can email me. Absolutely. My email is in my channel description, and I'll drop it into the chat real quick too. Hold on a second.
There you go. Did you get that in there?
Yeah, I just put it in the chat.
Okay. Everybody have a wonderful day. Go out and do something wonderful for somebody in the name of somebody. Just do it for yourself. Have a good day, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my face. Work a job every day till your dreams fade away. Like a card, never change. Play the game that we say. I need a break. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming on. I'm staying strong, need to move on to be what I want. I'll keep dreaming.